It's May 5th. We're going to do a little channeled message for you, and I have my tarot cards out. I still do pretty consistent daily readings on TikTok, and I usually do update it here as well. And my patrons get access to the live link, and we're broadcasting live here, usually every Monday or Tuesday for the weekly update. Okay, so May 5th to 11th. I did get inspired to talk about Saturn moving into Aries. Saturn's approaching the anaretic or final degrees of Pisces. So we're going to be experiencing some sort of accumulative karmic energy whenever some of the big planets are moving and ingressing, they say, moving into a new sign or right at that final anaretic really spicy degree, we're going to experience a little bit of intensity or some karmic releases, which is usually just like certain patterns in our lives, which are coming to a big finale, and then closing down so that we can move into new energy. I am really into astro. I've been studying it for over 10 years now, working with tarot for well over 10 years. You are welcome to book a private reading as well, of course. I'm just tuning in to receive the channeled messages here. There again with the Neptunian energy moving into Aries rather, we really are going to see a birthing of some new spiritual practices, and a message came through more recently about like new spiritual orders, or it is relevant as far as um, the Pope passing and where we are as a global consciousness and how we're evolving our connection to spirit, our connection to God, and our awareness or deeper awareness of compassionate and loving, I guess, communities, but really it's sort of projections, it's a recognition from within self. This idea of self actualization or the practices that help us feel that divine spark within us. The practice, the teachings, right? Amplifying, um, especially with Pluto in Aquarius, there's the sort of authenticity. So the individual authenticity for the revolution of the whole, right? And even though it's obviously, in many ways, we're becoming even more individualistic, that's really bringing us back into a greater cohesion, and our ability to expand our mind, right? Aquarian energy, to really expand our mind to contain more authenticity in the whole. So, awakening from the dream spell of conformity and enslavement. Enslavement and oppression go hand in hand, obviously. All of our consumerism is also part of upholding a military war complex and or colonialism. So our ability to awaken to, mass deception and psychoses, you could say, through media propaganda and straight down governmental lies, or um, the powerful elite and an agenda to kind of keep the masses in control, to have power, to have access to the resources and such things, versus an empathic, compassionate perspective. It's a very profound pathway, though, because it still requires a huge amount of detachment, a huge amount of inner wounding, or rather healing the wounding within self, right? And a deep faith and a deep trust in that quantum shift and that leap into our authenticity versus the past patterns of codependency, whether it's our personal parental figures, and that's relevant for all of us. But it's also these ideological structures that really don't serve the whole. They keep us bound to conform, they keep us bound really to living in fear, right? Rather than knowing the self, which comes through really usually like getting to know our nervous system via triggers, a lot of shadow work, working with therapists, somatic work, allowing the body to come back into a greater healed state, which in my opinion just feeling really relaxed and feeling like we can be ourselves. And that is a constant sort of navigating via that inner relationship. And again, from my perspective, certainly cultivating a really loving relationship within self. It doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows. It certainly isn't all love and light all the time, right? We're living in a planetary system of duality and paradox and all of that. But we are here for it. We're here for that expansion to experience the densities of life. And all of us have different gifts and different tools and ways of expressing ourselves. And to me, again, part of healing from some of the capitalist consumerism is to pursue your creativity. One thing that really works with like not over consuming and actually potentially healing a lot of, toxic or lower base tone patterns is to seek out that which brings you joy. And or certainly from an economic perspective, to like line up what really inspires you, what feels good for you, what works for you, what feels true to your body, mind, and soul, and going after that regardless of the money, right? And there again, we have to detach from materialism, even though through a spiritual perspective, I do agree with other teachers where they talk about, it's not airy fairy. It's, and, depending on our class, depending on, our demographic, it can be really easy to say, and I've had people say this to me, oh, it's not about the money. Well, it isn't, and yet we all need to survive here. We all need to live here, and often, obviously, our relationship to money, relationship to self, is deeply connected to our programming and our ability to survive in a very realistic way. So there is perhaps on many, like, we want to be detached. We certainly wouldn't want to be defined by the amount of money we have or what we can buy or stuff, but we want to be able to live in harmony with our heart and soul, and that usually requires a certain amount of money. So spirituality leads us to mastering the manifest reality as well as our spiritual connection and our body. It's not, a lot of different teachings would have us think it's like escaping the body or, yeah, detaching or not be, if we're not in our body, how can we be honest with one another? How can we be, how do we know what we're thinking and feeling? And really, really reprogramming our mind and transforming our lives is really that. It's paying attention to what we think and feel, how we react to things, how we respond to things, when we're being triggered, what's under that trigger, why, right? Being able to ask those self-reflective questions. So that's a big part of yoga. Longtime yoga teacher here, and then the tarot and the online biz has all just been really spiritually guided from my earnest desire to make the world a better place. And I'm happy to be here. Okay, so that's the channeled message for you guys. I'm now looking down at a 10 of cups. That's a pretty hellish Shazam. But it is reversed, okay? So FYI, if I think I said already, but patrons are getting the link. So my patrons get ad-free first access. Top tier patrons get access to the Be Changed courses. They also get 10% discount on private readings with me. And they get exclusive content on top of the ad-free first access. So feel free to check it out if you're wanting to rehash, go over old videos, or get access to the Be the Change courses, which, and again, with Patreon, you can unsub, you can cancel your subscription at any time. I do believe, certainly for the grassroots levels, there's a, pardon my coffee burst, there is a free trial. So you're welcome to suss that as well. There's a 7-day free trial. What's the 10 of Cups reversed? Why? Oh dear. Oh dear. This is a potential rebirth energy. Something's being challenged at home. home, family. There are children in the Ten of Cups in this image, so there could be something going on at home where we're resistant to change and our faith is being challenged, our strength is being challenged. As in also like resistance, denial. We could be resisting this change that's happening. Why? Wheel of Fortune is on the horizon. Something good is trying to come in. Let's get, I want a bit more clarity, please, on Ten of Cups. Let's get more clarity here. And more coffee. That Queen of Swords definitely wants to come out. A decision and offer. Spending time in hermit mode, wanting to move forward. Decision. Maybe a decision around work is coming in, a decision around an opportunity, a message that prompts, oh my gosh, I've got to make a decision. Do I move this way? Do I move that way? Do I stay where I am or do I move forward? Queen of Swords, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. More than likely one person in the family homestead. I mean, it could be like somebody in the couple is like not really communicating, and then it comes down, it's like, oh my God, we have to make a decision here. We've got to, yeah, there just could be like a bit of a mismatch or, resistance and denial I'm getting with all the reversals in the central, and then one person trying to be like, right, we've got to move in this direction, we've got to make a decision, and really pondering it with the Hermit. Somebody's having to really think about, and also the forward momentum, letting the current of life take you, moving forward. Okay, if it's the end of a relationship with Ten of Cups reverse, Death card reverse, Strength reverse. These are deep challenges here that are testing you supremely. And if you're being guided to move forward, fear it not, because the Wheel of Fortune is coming. It's like, you've got to move on. You've got to move on now. So if there's been a dissolution of a long-standing relationship and you're really wanting to create a better foundation, a more solid foundation, you are being guided forward, which could feel really scary. It could be like, oh, blimey, like the unknown. You're being given an opportunity. You're reflecting like, do I, don't I? Do I move away from home? For some of you, it's definitely like a moving away from home, and there's a little bit of fear being challenged around your sense of stability and security. Again, I wouldn't worry about it. And then if you have made that decision, you're moving forward, I would say there's a little bit of like you getting into this new environment, and there could be doubt. You might be like, oh God, what did I do? But a little bit of exhaustion here. Melancholy even. There's definitely something about stability, inner stability, feeling stable, feeling supported. This is a little bit of a cycle. I remember at the beginning we were talking about the culmination of certain cycles, and then there's a bit of inner conflict, inner battle, doubt, resistance. Oh, bucket, did I make the right decision? Not doubting our decision once we move forward. The Wheel of Fortune, these are transformational times, right? These are major arcana. destabilizing us or shape shifting our foundation, which is upsetting the home front, right? Something as well, there's like a bit of an upgrade around doing what you've always done just because it's familiar versus taking a leap into the unknown because you're being called. Um, I just got the message of like trusting the beat of your own heart, trusting the beat of your own drum. Maybe, just maybe, seeking out a spiritual teacher, a medicine man or woman. You might be guided in that regard as well. Shamanic healer, astro reader, tarot reader, right? Whatever it might be, sort of seeking out a little bit of higher wisdom to find like, or just ground, like trust. It's all good. I'm going to be all right. I got to get through this battle of self to find my power. Magician. There's magician underneath the 5 of wands, as in, and I even though there's other people, I feel like that's like multiple parts, like making a new move and then getting that moment of like, oh god, what did I do? Well, and like reviewing everything in your mind as far as like, was this the right move? Did I do okay? And then I'm thinking, see, we're approaching that full moon in Scorpio. And I'm thinking of probably, again, that 6-month period going back to November and how Mars is retro and then now it's moving forward. And as in last year, just Mars has been in Cancer, which is debilitated, and it's fall. No, debilitate. And it goes back. It went retrograde and now it's finally moving forward. But then we had that opposition. Mars and Pluto opposition definitely hit hard for a lot of people. You know, challenging moments in life, they really are there to help us see from a different perspective, be stronger. Personally, I definitely align with like having compassion and love for self that can help us transform pain to actually usher in a deeper, greater benevolence versus like selling out, making an easy option, and choosing bitterness and density. So, Hanged Man, hi. Hey there. So yeah, I mean that making that choice, maybe trusting the unknown for once in your life or again and again, but decision, opportunity. Oh no, what if it destabilizes the home? Making that decision to move toward the unknown looks like it's kind of coming out of Hanged Man energy. Oh, okay. Yeah, so some of you, it could be that the decision that you're being guided to, that's also part of why it could destabilize the home, is that a child or partner is like annoyed or upset. Like, I don't want you to go away 3 days a week, or I don't want to have to move or whatever. And so there's a little bit of like crunchiness. Hence, again, facing conflict. That's a huge part. All of us have different things we need to learn. Sometimes just facing our own conflict, making decisions that are difficult, communicating decisions that are difficult, right? Communication can be difficult. This is a huge release point, you guys, the 10 of Wands. Some of you, I think it's already been conquered or released or, pardon me, and now you're just sort of chilling maybe, or like, or, pardon me, resting. There could be a bit of burnout here. Like, you've released the 10 of Wands. There's been a battle, but you're good to go. You're finding your power. You're doing some healing. And instead of for that energy come through like maybe yesterday in a share or something, but this like just observing, alchemizing, processing, and just letting like life come in rather than like forcing it, working really hard, stressing out about it. You know, it doesn't, that's the thing. Interesting conundrum about this life experience, you know. is that people worry or people blame or whatever, and it's like, that doesn't solve anything though, right? Like, just being worried about something doesn't change the thing. You're just, like, stressing out. As in, also, like, just another perspective, we're not as efficient when we're distressing. We think more clearly and we think more creatively. Often is the case that the solution comes through being really relaxed rather than like this problem. We're just focus on the problem. The problem is there. Look at it. And then when we're not looking at it, when we release it and focus on other things, the problem gets solved. Or like the solution to the problem drops in when, when we're doing something with our child or with our family or just doing something that we enjoy. And then out of nowhere, it's like, oh my God, right? And certainly from like a physical living in these bodies, it's like, that thing of like, if you're super dupes relaxed, you're less likely to get injured. If you're super dupe relaxed, and things like sleep is the optimal healing state. We regenerate, we heal, we restore when we're chill and relaxed. Hence authenticity. When we know ourselves, we can manage ourselves and we can be authentic and we can, manage our wellness because we've got to know what foods do you like, what things do you enjoy, how do you manage the light and the dark and the good and the bad in your perspective. Hey, breakthrough. You. But I'm going to shuffle because I know that come through for me yesterday. So, oh yeah, breaking out of conditioning. Maybe it's, the family stronghold, the family homestead. You're just going through like a metamorphosis, which could feel destabilizing. But breaking out of conditions, breaking out of conformity, being like, but kids, mom's gotta go do la la la. And like, even though like, I don't want to move or I don't want change, it's for the higher good, ultimately, right? Yeah, versus clinging to the past because it's familiar. Straight up, like, that's the thing, right? When we cling to the past, we're boxed in. Like, kind of what I was just talking about, like worrying all the time. We have so much more conscious control. That's a part of accessing our freedom, is paying attention enough to choose rather than just being on a mental emotional autopilot, mental emotional repeat, which is really the backbone of our physical reality, right? Like, what are we doing? What are we thinking? What are we vibing? And if we're just on a repeat, we're clinging to the past rather than being like, okay, what's happening now and how can I be present to that? And is that what I want to be choosing? And how do I feel about it? And do it, right? It's detached perspective as well. That's part of uncovering so much of our ancestral and childhood wounding, is that we're indoctrinated in these bodies. Certainly we're indoctrinated and programmed from early childhood. So people talk about healing the inner child. Well, yeah, because most of us, the trauma's happening at a young age. Not everybody, I guess. But even then, generational trauma, there's a lot of deception. There's just a lot of societal shazam. And my sense, again, in waves. Woo! In waves, more and more awakening. More, yeah, because there's a lot to break down. The world be breaking down. There's a fair bit to break down, and we're all breaking it down together as in our own lives, right? To just feel better and be well, if you are. And then there's mass exodus. There's, drones of people that are going to be exiting the earthly realm, and then different branches and sort of timelines, as it were. Change. That change card, transformation, wheel of fortune as well, you could say. Really that breaking free from condition. There's definitely a release point because it's the hermit and the hanged man. Like, you've been pondering, you've been thinking. And now it's time. Now it's time to move forward. The family, the Ten of Cups, everything is going to be okay. Sometimes change invokes fear, though. Sometimes we have to let go of some stuff to get the next thing. Sometimes we have to go through a bit of pain and conflict, within self, with other to then get to the next stage. Worthy, being worthy, see? Being worthy of the changes that we're desiring. That's part of the shift point as well. See? Overcoming childhood wounding, five of pentacles, and some of the fives I see representative of our past pain. The rejection wound, the abandonment wounds, you know, neglect, fear of getting old, whatever it might be, societally speaking. Like, again, we get projected all these shitty unworthiness constructs versus knowing you're divine. And to me, that's usually coming through either some sort of divine inspiration / spiritual awakening, or straight up doing things that are good for you and feeling good in your body. Having an awareness of things going on in the world and getting that too, like having an awareness of things going on in the world to make appropriate choices. You know, we're all interfacing with the reality. Okay, I mean, like, this is pretty clear with these cards. This is for a lot of you. Healing. So, you've been on a healing quest. You've been on a healing journey, which is obviously impacting maybe your career, but your career is connected to your relationships. So it's all going through a bit of a razzle-dazzle, shake-up, changes. You have to face some conflict. You got to face some people or self-doubt, stuff that we're not sure about within self. That's impacting our relationships. It's impacting our home front, how things are going with our kids and our spouses, whatever. So you pursuing a certain career ambition just is shaking up some of your relationships. Or the career ambition is directly connected to your relationships and healing. You know, doing lots of healing. Wheel of Fortune, like, yo, things are just going to change whether we like it or not, right? We might as well go with the changes rather than be trying to keep everything the same under the illusion that everything stays the same, because it doesn't. But, you know. Something here about, like, overcoming chaos and choosing peace as well. That's a choice, right? There's lots of layers, multi layers with regards to healing generational wounding, trigger points to awaken different pockets of the collective, a shifting of power, even if it's initially behind the scenes, a dissolution of the fragmented power structures, as we see with greater love and unity from the individual perspective connected to the whole. That's the quantum perspective, right? Quantum healing. Self-responsibility, being able to, like, expand our sort of quantum bubble, as it were, as well, so that more of the more people can shift more quickly as well. It's like instantaneous recognition of that knowing, of that authenticity. Whoo, baby, I love you. Okay, there's a weekly update for you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We're here every Monday. Patrons get ad-free first access, and the rest of y'all usually get it later on Monday or Tuesday. And again, the daily shares are over on TikTok, but I share a little bit of other just inspired, like, as and when, as intuitively guided, inspired content on TikTok. And if you want to know more about Ultra Love or myself, feel free to check out my website in the description box. It's all there for you. You can buy my book, you can buy the merchandise, and support the brand, and in whatever way you feel. So have a great week ahead, you guys. I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace out.